as well. And again, if you have to evacuate for any of this, go to the Westfield Boulevard Red Cross shelter, but also the Broad Ripple Park Family Center. That area, that's an area we've been focusing on this morning here. Ashton Hackman's been out there this morning keeping an eye on it for us.
That's right, in the Ravenswood area, and this is where we're seeing some of the more dramatic pictures and active rescues that are underway right now. Ashton, set the scene for us.
Yeah, good morning, ladies. As we've been on the stretch of 75th Street all morning, this is just to the west of Keystone Avenue. We mentioned earlier the boat that firefighters actually took to go that way, and we've seen them helping more individuals. We did just get an update from IFD. They've been talking about the number of pets that they have had to help rescue. That's something you don't really think about until it actually happens. So not only are they helping people get out, but they are helping people take their pets as well. We saw one man carry his dog through the high waters, and they are actually telling people that if they need to find appropriate shelter for those pets that they help rescue, the Broad Ripple Family Center is open for families with pets. So a different area to go if you were rescued from the water, but you have to take a cat or dog or any other pet that you have with you if you are evacuating. But again, the water continues to rise quickly here in the Ravens area. We were here at 7 this morning. We were basically all the way down where those firefighters were, and the water wasn't there, just to kind of show you how quickly this water has gone up. But again, IFD telling folks if they have pets that need to be rescued with them, or they're looking for somewhere to take them, you can take it to the Broad Ripple Family Center. Again, that's off Broad Ripple Avenue.
Tell us a little bit about the number of people that you see out there and what devices and what they're relying on to reach people in their homes, Ashton.
Yeah, we've seen some people, I don't know if Colden is panning over to the right there, but some people have trucks that are higher up. There's a Jeep there, but obviously fire crews out here have been utilizing life jackets. When the water was a little bit lower, they were actually trudging through that water with life jackets to help people. Unfortunately, had to go all the way through. It was probably up to about their shin or knee level, but they were equipped with those life jackets. But now as that water has picked up, and actually the current from the flow, because the White River is just off to the north, that current has picked up, making that water not safe to walk through, and that's why they're relying on these boats here to help. I know some people are actually walking through this stretch of water here, but thankfully there are emergency crews around if they need it.
And we've seen definitely in some other communities, Ashton, when like the people behind you just walking through, those firefighters, divers, whoever's out there really stopping them. Is that something you've been seeing with other neighbors as well, of just saying, putting the pause on this, putting the brakes on it, saying, hey, we've got to really not be in this water right now?
Yeah, well, unfortunately, this is not a mandatory evacuation, and a lot of the people that lived here have lived here for quite some time. So we've talked to people who say it always floods. You know, Sean and Lindsay were mentioning it earlier. This area is known to flood, but not like this. You know, this is reaching historic levels. There was a woman who's been on this stretch for 40 years, and she says, the water has not been this high. So they're encouraging folks, if you are able to leave, now is the time to get out. Because as we've mentioned all morning, this crest isn't going to be until later this afternoon, so the water is likely to go up a little bit higher. And as you can see here, we have a firefighter actually going towards those folks that we just saw walking without life jackets. So to kind of show you how the emergency personnel here on scene are handling this situation. Those two individuals that you saw walk through the water behind me just a few minutes ago, they're actually telling them to hold off. And actually, wow, I don't know if Colden can pan over, but we just had a tree completely fall in this person's front yard here.
Heard it.
Wow. Yeah, so you're watching the situation in real time here. I'm not sure if it's just from the effect of how high up the water has gotten, but yeah, a tree just fell in this person's front yard across their driveway.
Yeah, that's so scary, and it just shows that the ground got so saturated there, and that tree came down. I was wondering, Ashton, as you're talking with people that are in this situation, what is their overall mood? Is it one of like panic? or is it like, well, resolve? You know, we knew, we saw, we're executing. What would you say are the emotions that you're gleaning from the people that you're interacting there that now find themselves in a very most undesirable situation?
A lot of the people here are processing it in real time. I know that there's some individuals back off to our right that are making the decision to leave, and it's a difficult one, especially if you're used to flooding, if you are used to having water come up once it rains heavy for an extended period of time. But this is a little bit different. You know, you're thinking about the damage that the water is going to leave to your property. Obviously, with that tree that just fell, that's another thing to have to deal with, all while dealing with, you know, do you leave now or do you wait for the water to get a little bit higher? So there's a lot of things that people are processing while also experiencing this in real time.
Yeah, it is a lot to process, you know, because you're thinking about your belongings, you're thinking about your house, and then you're thinking about your safety, and then you want to be smart, but you don't want to overreact. And it's hard, you know, you try to gauge what is the best step we should be taking.
It is, and especially for a neighborhood like there in Rocky Ripple, there's a lot of older homes in that neighborhood that are just probably trying to think, is the structure of my home going to be okay with this? Because we've seen this in so many communities this week, how the damage can really just impact it in just a matter of seconds.
Yeah, and you know, when we get in a situation like this, I think of my parents, you know, they're older, living in an older home, and you know, it's a lot to get out and get moving, you know, to get you, do we get the walker, do we get the wheelchair, do we get all the things that we need? Mm-hmm. And then you wonder, is it just better if we just hold tight and stay safe? And then, you know, what is the tipping point? And you think that's probably the conversation that's happening in a lot of homes right now.
Yes, and especially if you have pets. That's something we've kind of brought to light a little bit the last couple of days, because no cat wants to be involved in this. No dog wants to be involved in this. We've seen those pictures and videos of them holding them. They're scared to death. That's their fight or flight response. So being able to think on the fly, especially for so many families here, every person that's involved with this, everything that's involved, you want to grab what you can, but also knowing it in a timely and safe manner as well.
Well, the pets is a really good point, because a lot of times people are saying, well, where would we go with the cats? Where would we go with the dogs? Like, what would we do? So maybe it's best that we hunker down. So the city has made some plans to accommodate that.
Yeah, and we know definitely for sure that Broad Ripple Park Family Center, that's the area for that. If you can't go there, if you don't have a pet, they ask you to go to the Red Cross Shelter, Westfield Boulevard. Those are those two main spots for the north side. We are expecting probably when we get farther south throughout the day, that'll change as well, what those other shelters may look like. So things we're keeping an eye on. We also will keep an eye on if any state protocols will be put into place, because we know the governor's talking at 3 today. Maybe he has some state shelters that are going to be more operated by FEMA or whoever the organizations are to help out with that as well.
Yeah, you know, yesterday we were talking with Rob Ellis, and he was looking at the forecast and he was looking at the numbers, and this is exactly what he was fearing was going to happen, that you know, people maybe were not processing where this was going, and then just kind of keeping their fingers crossed. And I know that Rob personally yesterday was saying, I just wish people were evacuating now, because I can see where this is going. We're going to be having rescues tomorrow. We're going to have people that, you know, just aren't believing that this is where it's going, and in fact it is. And we're seeing, even though in some areas the river is going down, that there in other areas the receding is not as quick as you might think, because of these waves of rain.
And how quick it picks up too. You know, it may be low, but it's still rushing through, so you may have to come up into any terms with that as well. And unfortunately, we don't really deal with this that often. We deal with the evacuations of other events and weather events that happen. So maybe it was more of a proactive, reactive type of thing. What game should families play in this moment for the morning?
Well, and we've been talking with our crews, who I just have to say have done a spectacular job all week and today too, out in these elements and sharing the stories, and their heart just breaks. You know, they come back and I say, oh, you did a great job out there in the elements, and they're just like, I just feel so bad for those people. You know, they've got the water in their home, they've lost everything. This, you know, some of them have businesses in their home or businesses that are impacted. I mean, there are just thousands of people that now are saying, wow, this is just not what I expected, and now they're dealing with all this cleanup up and all this tragedy. It's scary, it's sad, and this is something that we're going to be covering for weeks and months to come.
Yeah, and there are so many of us here with our team that are from some of these cities that have been hit, and that's hard too when you hear these personal stories from people you know, businesses you grew up going to, and you're like, wow, things can change in an instant. And that's why these city officials are being very proactive in some of these spots, saying, we don't want things to be ruined for you. So let's try to work ahead as best as we can, just really seeing what that's going to look like moving forward.
You know, and you bring a couple good points. One is our experience. I mean, your city government really does make a difference, because we have seen very different availabilities and responses depending on what kind of municipality you live in and who's in charge of it. And then secondly, you bring up a very good point. We have Lindsay Monroe. She is from the Cambridge City area. Her family business, she spent the last couple days with her brother out there cleaning it up, trying to get bleach to make sure that they don't have mold. And you're from the Connorsville area, and you've got a lot of anecdotes from there.
Yeah, I know many people from the east side over there, just seeing so many Facebook posts. I haven't been able to make it down there, but just hearing so many different stories from teachers, principals. There are 2 schools in that area as well. You know these families, especially, I always say small towns band together like nothing else. So hearing and just then seeing the damage, I've recently been seeing some donations going around for one family. The father is a police officer. He's working to make sure people are safe while his family has lost everything. So it puts everything really into perspective for you as well. But we do want to give you a time check-in real quick. It is 11 o'clock this morning. Anna Chalker with Anne-Marie Tiernan, Lindsay and Sean joining us this morning as well. We have a lot going on this morning if you're just now tuning in, because we are following severe weather, devastating flooding again today.
That's right.